Good afternoon, beautiful people. I've left you with a little bit of time here to check out those team lists and maybe have a play around with your squads now that they're all green dots. Hopefully, we do unfortunately miss out on Payne Haas, on Valence Tafade this week as the big ones. And then Brandon Smith comes back in, but it leaves a bit of an interesting decision on what you do with Jake Turpin if you still have him here. So let's get into those round 20 team lists. And obviously, guys, as I keep saying, make sure you do wait until Origin is done tomorrow. There could be injuries involved in that, in key players that you're looking to trade in. I know, we all jumped the gun, and I already just did that and had a little play around with certain trades and what I might like to do. But yeah, wait on that. And guys, just make sure you check the video I popped out today. It's around building your final 17 and just seeing where exactly you need to get your guns in certain positions, because it might be different for your team than it is for mine. As I said in there, I have a bunch of really strong halves, and maybe I don't try and get Cleary straight away, whereas you might look for Cleary, or you might look for a Munster or a DCE, something like that, and really showing the importance of the hooking position with Harry Grant as well. So get in and check that out. I really appreciate it. It was one of my favorite videos I've done in a while. Plenty of good info in there, I think, in my opinion, obviously, but that's just me. So let's get into that first game of the week. We have 7 of them, and Knights come up against the Tigers on Friday night. And really, let's just look at this, black and white here. You'd imagine Isaiah Papali'i and also John Bateman get a little bit more of an opportunity to play better in this one. Bateman was great last time, but IPAP there has had a few low weeks in a row, unfortunately, and what we need from him is one of those big games that he had previous. And if he can get that 70 or 80 that he got a few weeks ago, then that obviously makes up for the 30 last week. So let's hope for that. And I personally wouldn't be trading him. I know a few people will look at that as this is a potential week to trade him to a Fafita, or go to a Grant or something like that, or maybe a DCE, or whoever you need, whoever you want, really. But I personally would steer away from trading him, in my opinion, at this stage. You're looking at their interchange, and Jake Simpkin is on the interchange bench with Api Coruscant returning. So that's a big one there. And then Will Smith is in that 6 jersey again. So not too much changes on the Knights side, but someone like Buller, they play the Knights this week, obviously, and then the following week they play the Dragons. So really, you could almost look at Buller as a hold now. He's in the 530s, and really, do you think you can see him hitting a 40 average over the next few weeks? We know what players have been able to do against the Dragons in the last few weeks, and that could definitely happen again, even if Ben Hunt is back there. Api Coruscant is going to make things a little bit easier for the Tigers here, that's for sure. So maybe Buller gets a little bit more, gets a little bit of a better score in the next few weeks. So he's definitely not an instant sell, but you could sell him if you like. Dane Gagai is an interesting one on the Knights side. If you don't have Ponga, you really need to get him in. But with Gags there's a little bit of a thought or a worry from NRL Physio that this type of injury with the Linz Frank strain, or what exactly that is, but with push off and his ability to accelerate. It seems like he's had it for a bunch of weeks before you end up taking the rest, so it wasn't affecting him too much, but that's just definitely something to have a look at. And Greg Marzou, we spoke about in that previous video, is definitely a solid option. Tyson Frizzell is back in there, and so everyone in this Knights team no longer has a bye, so that's definitely something to think about, guys, when you're looking at creating your squads there. Blake Wilson keeps his spot. What about that, hey? Gets his triple and keeps the spot there. Jacob Carraz comes into the centres, and you still don't see Paul Alamotti. So not that that's too relevant these days. Burton and Sexton in that spot there. Max King obviously named to start in this one. Jackson Torpeney in the 11 jersey. And you see Jay Knockenball on the bench there. So the interchange looks a lot better than it has been, in my opinion, in previous weeks. And Corey Waddell comes back into the 13 as well. And Raymond Faitala Mariner in the front row position. So still expect big minutes out of Maxi King. I know there are a few people looking at Reid Marnie in that hooking position. And look, I'm not going to really push you away from it. He's someone that's fairly cheap right now and can get you an average of somewhere in the mid-40s. Up and down with the 30-odd or 50-odd is going to be pretty normal for Reedy in that one. So, Jacob Carraz in the centres, probably going to use hands on the ball a little bit more, but I wouldn't think that he'd score much better than what he's doing right now, and I wouldn't say he's a buy at this point of the season. Tristan Taylor obviously keeps his spot. Didn't score super well last game, but he's a fun player to watch. Herbie Farnworth, someone to look at now, guys, with them obviously having one bye left. He's one of the best centres, but do you want to bring anyone in who has another bye? I'm not sure. Up to you on that one. In the forwards, you've got definitely a few options to look at there. You've got Brendan Piakura is obviously someone that's gone up a little bit in value. Do you need an edge? Maybe not. Obviously, he covers that position. You've got Carrigan, who's in the reserve. So let's keep a good eye on him. There is a decent chance that he gets rested. But they also do have a bye later on in the year in round 25. So yeah, that could be a good week just for him to put his feet up and really not do much at all. And this week he could back up given Payne Haas is out, but that's definitely one to monitor. And given he plays the early game on Saturday, it's 2.5 days rest for him completely. So yeah, up to you what you guys think on that one for sure. Nothing else changes there. Kurt K-Wall comes back, but it's not really going to affect us on a fantasy front. Let's go on to the next one there. The Eagles up against the Cows. I think it's going to be a fairly close game, I'd imagine, there at Four Pines Park. Ruben Garrick in the fullback slot again. We will find out about dual positions after this week. So if you are banking on a Ruben Garrick centre position, we'll have to see. But I don't know if they'll give it to him, considering he's definitely been, said that he's definitely going to play fullback for the rest of the year. So with no real he's maybe playing centre and stuff. If they had that, I think they'd give him the centre. But this time, likely to just get fullback slot. But he's good enough to be a great scorer. So if you are in the hunt for a wing fullback, if you do want to trade a Bullard to a Garrick, I'm not going to push you away from that. Definitely there. Really, Olakau'atu is still a potential option. Jake Trbojevic is going to average around that 50 mark and do a solid job. Dean Madison on the bench. I haven't heard of him before. Cowboys. So Drinkwaters, still a buy for anyone who's looking at him. They do have a buy. They have a buy themselves. In round 24, I believe. Is that correct? Something like that. I'm still learning that one, as I said. I think the Dogs are 23, they're 24. So that would make sense to me. Robson's been named, and all of the Origin stars have been named to back up from Origin, as I said there. And Taumalola on the bench, which is cool to see. Really, other than that, Val Holmes is obviously a solid centre option. Robson, okay. As a hold, I think I wouldn't be buying him at all. Jeremiah Nene, with him, it's more just he's just going to be up and down, isn't he? So that's that on that front. Moving on to the next one. Roosters up against the Storm. Everyone's been named from the Roosters that's playing Origin, which is cool. They should be able to back up. That's a full 3-day rest, and same for the Storm guys. So Munster, you've obviously got Grant in there. Wishart's on the bench. Doesn't really affect Grant too much, but he'll obviously be there to cover if they have a big lead or something like that. You're looking at forwards. Obviously, Nelson's just been named on an edge again, and you still don't see our man Katoa. He's still not back from his facial issue. If you're looking at the Roosters team, you have Brandon Smith in there as an interchange player. So Jake Turpin will start. I still think, as I said, we've been saying the last bunch of weeks, it's likely that he would still get the 50 to 60 minutes, considering he's been playing really, really well. I still think you can use him as a trade option, given he's 544k and has a fairly high break even after he's 17 points. So you can make your decisions on Jake Turpin. I think as a looper this week, if you are going to keep him, that could be really solid as well. But hopefully the Roosters play a little bit better this week, considering we all have a bunch of them. If you're still holding Billy Smith, he is back along with Suoli'i there. On the Storm side, it's really just Munster and Grant you want to look at, and potentially a Nelson if you want to go living a little bit on the edge, but he has gone up a fair bit in cash since those couple of good scores there. So that's what we really want to look at with the Roosters and the Storm. We move on to the Warriors and the Sharks, and Chance is an interesting one because I'm not sure how he's going to go in this type of game. If it's a closer game like it should be against the Sharks, does he step up with a few more runs, and does he get the tackle breaks and stuff, considering the Sharkies are a little bit leaky in certain parts of their game. They can definitely leak some points. So he's an interesting one with a bye coming up. Coming off a couple of lower scores. The good thing with Bullock compared to Chance there is that he doesn't have any more buys, and he has a couple of easier opponents there, with the Warriors coming up against the Sharks here and then the Raiders next week, which usually is some lower scoring games there. So up to you what you want to do with Chance. I can't see him being a keeper. He hasn't been as yet, and seems to be that sort of low 40s guy. Do you want that in your team? Do you have lots of wing fullbacks like myself, with basically all of them playing this week? Ponga being that dual guy as well is very interesting there. Metcalf, is he going to keep getting better? Is he going to keep his spot? I think he does keep his spot from here on in. I really find it tough to see Tamati Martin grab that Luke Metcalf spot, but up to you. And if we're talking about Sean Johnson, if his wife Kayla, I believe, has the kids this week in the middle of the week, he is playing at home, so that is very helpful. The big issue last week was the fact that he was having to travel to Sydney, and it's not just so easy to just I'm going into labour, quick get to the hospital now if he's in New Zealand, if he's in Auckland there. So yeah, I think it's going to be easier and much more of a chance for him to play this week, even if she has if she has the baby on game day, then that's going to be an issue, and just be aware of that. Having Volkman and stuff on the bench. So that's really the only issue with him at this stage. Mitch Barnett goes into the middle for Bunty Afoa. Josh Curran goes on the edge. Again, just check out that one. It may change on game day. Definitely every chance of it with Tom Ali starting or something like that. But Tor Harris has been named, which is good. Adam Fanua-Blake, if you do own him, I'd be holding steady as well. Sharkies with all of their outside backs. So Malatalo, you're holding all of them. You're not buying any of them, in my opinion. It's going to be a harder game for him for sure. The only guy you'd buy in this team right now is Nico Hines if you don't have him, which most do. And then Britton Nickera. That's the only couple of guys I would be looking at. On to the next one is our Sunday 4 p.m. game, Dolphins up against Panthers. And the big news there is Jack Cogg has been named and we see Nathan Cleary in the 24 jersey. So still every chance of playing this one. Obviously being a Sunday afternoon game, it gives him plenty of time to be named. It's obviously not clear, set in stone that he will play this week, but he'll be given every chance to. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what they do on that one. They've obviously got all of their Origin guys named to back up, but we'll see how they go. And they've got plenty of reserves to touch on if anything changes there. And as I said, just keep waiting for how Origin goes and make your decision from there. Big Val. So Val Tafare, as I said, has been dropped, unfortunately, to the reserves. And yeah, it's just more just a defensive thing. He's been caught out a few times for speed, and then they're getting him one-on-one, too close to the line for him to be able to stop them. And that's, curtains by that point. Big news here is Jeremy Marshall-King is out, so Harrison Graham gets that spot. So if you're looking at a cheapy hooker, then he could be a guy to cover. But I doubt many are looking for that type of player right now when we all have hands, or a lot of us have hands, and Harry Grant's a big target as well. With Val, guys, I think it's up to you what you want to do with him. If you want to use his 430 odd or 420 odd or whatever it is to be able to trade him out, trade him down, whatever you want to do there, I'm all for it. If you like. I definitely wouldn't push you away from doing that. I'm definitely looking at it myself, given they have a bye next week. So that's the big thing with the Dolphins, guys, is they have a bye next week, and not many of them I'd be looking at buying. If you have Connolly Lemuelu, you see Kenny Bromwich move into the middle, which is interesting because he actually scored a try on the edge and did really well last week. But that's going to fill a gap for him. Connolly's been pretty solid, obviously, all year. So he's moved back into that starting spot. In that one, you see Hammer go to centers. UNA can keep his spot. If you've got a Sarko, hold on. If you have none of the other guys, probably not pushing you to buy any of them. With the Panthers there, the big one is Isaiah Yeo. If he backs up and gets some good minutes. If you've got Fisher Harris right now, likely to be a hold this week, and then you can make a decision from there. None of these guys have a buy anymore, which is cool. So Isaac Tungo, I think, is a good purchase this week. If you are in the business for a center, should be able to average 45 to 50, I'd say, fairly comfortably in that one. And then the Eels v Titans will finish things off, I believe, and all the Eels stars will be back, and I think that's good news for Penasini, obviously, with Moses being named. Very late in the piece, obviously, on Sunday, gives them 4 days of rest, which is awesome. And sometimes in a normal week they have 5 days of rest, so not much of a difference from there. Brendan Hand's been named in the hooking jersey, which is good news for us as owners, and I'll hopefully be just using him as a loop. He can be that last guy to come in if we have any issues in any of the other positions, I believe, is how we're gonna play that one with Brendan. And Hopgood's still named in 13. You see Ryan Madison go to the bench, Campbell Gillard, Barlow there in their spots, Cartwright and Sean Lane. So you lose Davey to the bench as well. So a much stronger side there. Sean Russell goes to the wing, which is good for anyone who grabbed him. And they need a player this week, Simonson, and also Penasini, Gutho there as well. So good news on that front. And everyone's been named for the Titans as well. You see Fafita in there. Cleese Haas keeps his spot, which is cool. Anyone who grabbed him, wow, I didn't expect that. And wow, he would have been a good pickup last week, wouldn't he? Just to get a couple of good scores out of him. He seems to do really well when he gets big minutes there. So good stuff for him. Could get changed, obviously, late there. It's unlikely, isn't it? Who's it they got? So Stimson. Yeah, Stimson. Is he injured or dropped? Concussion. There you go. That's right. And then Jamie Jolliffe out for 4 weeks. So they need that extra guy. And Jacob Arlick, who got the good score last week, won't be there. Jaden Campbell's on the bench. Randall went nuts, but don't look at him. That's basically it, I believe, for our team lists. That is all. I hope that helps you guys with making your trades this week. It's very exciting having so many trades available. I have 9 in total, and you can obviously use 4 this week. I'm looking to use 2 or 3. We'll decide that, and obviously, the quicker you can get to your final team, the better. We'll speak about that. We'll wait a little bit extra, guys, for content now. With Origin coming up, we'll go New South Wales. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a fun one to watch. With no team in like 10 years or something has had a whitewash. So see if Queensland can do that, and we'll get into a good video with Lockie on Thursday morning after we get a little bit of fallout from Origin. Hopefully, no big injuries from it. We'll see you after then. Enjoy Origin, and see you then. Good luck with your teams.